Welcome to the next episode of Closers, brought to you by Man Cave Sports. We're so happy to have you here and live. This is an awesome deal to be doing this live. We'll be live every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you come and join us, hang out, throw out questions out there, throw out comments. We'll be listening as we go. Any viewers can put any comments out. We'll be answering questions as the show goes. If we can get to them, we should be able to get to them all. But don't forget to hit your like, hit your subscribe button. Send us any anything on there when we're talking, comments, obviously comments to the videos themselves. It helps us, helps our content, lets us know what you guys want to see and what you want to hear. But the like button and subscribe button, make sure that you see us. Make sure that you get all of our content. You don't miss it. You don't miss anything. Our engagement goes up and everything goes up the more you guys are connected with us. So don't be afraid to drop comments, drop the like, subscribe, let everybody know about us. But without any further ado, I want to introduce my partner of crime every episode, James Koulidianos.
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I am doing good. I love this whole live thing. It's different. It's funny because when we first started doing the show, I actually thought we were live for some reason. I don't know what it was. So I was trying to do it like as if we've always been doing it live. But now that it's live, it's some fun things. So we want to start out with a question right out of the gate. So if you're watching, you're listening, we'll hit the question a couple times throughout the episode, and then we'll come back to your guys' comments if you guys jump on there. So the question of the day, is it okay? Okay, I've thought about this a lot, actually. Is it okay to abandon your team that you've rooted for basically your whole life? The one closest to your heart, is it okay throughout the course of watching them to just abandon them? And then I also want to know, like, what does it take? Like, what is that level of just anger that it takes to get you to that point? James, really quick, James, move your camera, move you just a little bit. Just a little bit. There, perfect. Right there. Now you're a little bit more centered. I want to see that beautiful face, like straight up.
And I know the answer to the question.
Yeah, well, you've got a lot of teams that you can abandon, and like you're a New Yorker, so like you come and you're not. Yankee fans don't ever want to abandon them, but like Mets fans definitely are like, Jets fans are always on the border and just never actually pull the plug.
Do you realize that Aaron Rodgers' ineptitude saved you about $15,000? Because if they made it to the Super Bowl, you said you were going to take me. They're not even going to the playoffs. They're in the toilet. And that's the reason we have this question today. And I want to know from our viewers, is it okay? Can I just tap out? Because I know that you and I, if our wives, significant others didn't love us anymore, we'd leave. But why am I sticking around for the Jets?
Yeah, they don't love you.
No, they hate me.
They don't love you. They don't actually really care too much about you.
Not at all.
They just, as long as you're buying tickets. I mean, here's the thing. And the problem with the NFL, people show up no matter what. So like, there's never really a shot across the bow, like baseball, basketball, hockey. Like people stop going, and it's kind of like, hey, wake up. But before we get too much into this, send us your comments. Send us this. We'll go back through this a couple times throughout the episode.
Yeah, and if you're not watching it live, make sure you put it on the comments, when you're watching later. And if you're a subscriber and you like the show today, I might even have a little gift for you.
Yes. I don't know if you want that gift, but it's a gift from James. They're going to want it.
They're going to want it.
It's not like going to be like your underwear in the mail.
No, that's worth a lot of money. No, it'll be something custom. So we have a great fan of the show, our friend Carla, that we've known for years, and she's always watching our stuff.
She is the best.
She's a subscriber. She likes our comments. So perhaps, I know she's a Seattle Mariners fan. Maybe I'll send her some special Seattle Mariners stuff. Or if you're a Mets fan, I might send you some special Mets stuff.
He's got a lot of Mets stuff. And
I got a lot of stuff.
A lot of Mets stuff. So maybe a Cespedes jersey. Do you have a Cespedes anything?
No. No, I don't.
Dude, because he was supposed to be he was like the next. He was it. He was it for a little bit. Like, dude, I thought for sure that was, and like when he came to spring training in every different type of like vehicle you could ever imagine, the horse was awesome, by the way. But you just knew it was done. You're done. Like this isn't gonna work. Like, come on, man. Like, your career's over. at that point.
The problem with the horse was there was no place for him to put his golf clubs.
That'd be hilarious too. Golf clubs on the back, a horse with golf club holders on both. Done. That's awesome. But getting to a real athlete, a real player who has actually kind of exceeded expectations, Shohei Ohtani. It comes out that Shohei had a torn labrum from sliding into second base in the World Series, and the dude did nothing but still show up every single day. Albeit, like, dude, I was watching his swing. His swing was completely off. When they were trying to say during the broadcast that his swing looks great, his swing looked totally fine. I'm like, what effing swing are you looking at? Because it was completely horrible, and it had so many holes in it. He was just throwing his weight and rotating as hard as he could and hoping to hit the ball. But the dude, this whole Dodgers team is just, they're maniacs. What Freddie Freeman was going through, we're finding out that he's getting shots in his ribs. Shohei had a torn labrum, and they still show up and win the World Series. Like, was that more of? Is that talk more about how bad the Yankees were, or how tough these dudes are?
It's a combination of both. I think the Yankees were a pathetic team that made it to the World Series, and I think he's tough as nails. I love the fact, though, that there were a lot of people saying, oh, he wasn't really hurt. It was just an excuse. Look how bad he was in the World Series, trying to compare him to Judge's struggles. Guess what? He had a torn labrum. I can give him a pass.
Yeah. Yeah. The dude's playing a torn labrum, and he's just an absolute stud. Like, again, it just kind of adds to the legend of Ohtani. Now, but we got to start thinking about this. This is the reality of it. He's got a torn labrum in his left shoulder, yada, yada. Okay, whatever, it's left shoulder. It will affect you a little bit because of strength and mobility and everything. It's going to take a little time to get back, even though it's not your throwing shoulder. It's going to screw up your swing a little bit. Going to have to figure that whole out, I think Shohei's going to figure out. But now he's had TJ in his right elbow 2 times. He's had labrum in his left shoulder. Are we seeing, and my comparison to this is it's a lot of different injuries, but when Giancarlo Stanton was like the king of the world when he was Michael. When Mama called him Mike, he was the king of the world. Now he's Giancarlo, and he's got his banged up knees. He's injured. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's had a good season here and there, and he had an amazing year this year with amazing playoffs. Are we starting to see this downward cycle where he just kind of keeps getting hurt?
I hope not. I really hope not. But it's tough. I think that they're going to – I was talking to somebody the other day. I think they're going to limit what he's going to be doing so that he doesn't get hurt again. For example, do you think there's any chance that he's going to steal more than 20 bases next year? I don't, because they're going to make sure that he doesn't slide.
Yeah. And that's the thing about it is I think they're going to be really on top of him. At the same time, I've learned this, like, you can't take the athlete out of the player. Like, you don't want to take the athlete out of him, and him being aggressive, him playing like the way he does is what makes him so great. And that's my concern, is when you start taking the athlete out of these guys, that's when you kind of start getting just a shell of themselves.
I agree with you. But the fact that he's a two-way player makes it a little easier for the team to go up to him and say, hey, don't steal. I remember Dave Roberts saying that. He said before the season to Ohtani, you have the green light. You can steal whenever you want. This year, he's going to have the red light. Yeah,
that's the thing about it. I find it hard. I don't know if he's going to have a full red light. Again, it was a freak accident. It's not like a normal thing that's going to happen. But when you tear a labrum, it's never quite the same. I get it. Again, it's left arm, all that fun stuff, but it's never the same. And so I don't know if they would. I don't know, man. To me, I still give them the green light. It's just, all right, let's just make sure you're aware of how you slide.
But he's been aware of how to slide. If you notice the way he slides, it's to protect his right arm. You can't do that anymore because of the labrum issue. So I think it's a red light. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Bottom line is an 80% Ohtani is better than 90% of the players in baseball.
Oh, without a doubt. Now, and Mike Trout's sitting there with all of his injuries in Anaheim going, what the hell? This sucks. No, at the same, I guarantee he's happy for him. But yes, an 80% of Ohtani is basically league average. So that's pretty dang incredible. Speaking of another Japanese baseball player, guy coming to the state. It has been announced that he is up for auction for the highest bidder of the lowest amount of money you can bid, because it's an international signing and all the money is absolutely changed. Roki Sasaki of the Chiba, I don't even know how to say it. Chiba Lotte, the Marines. Sasaki of the Marines. The dude is an absolute stud. This is another just incredible pitching prospect coming out of Japan. 100+ mile an hour pitcher. The dude has already got a World Baseball Classic under his belt. There was a time in the Japanese league he was like an out away from having 2 perfect games. Guy's amazing. Guy's got everything going for him. He is young. He is 22, 23 years old, coming to the United States. An absolute just stud. He has immediately become probably the hottest prospect in baseball. The only catch to all this, though, it's gonna be $2.3 million basically, or something like that. It's gonna be like, it's basically, he is limited on the amount of money he can make. So what's really cool is every single team is in the running. James, what are you thinking of Sasaki? Have you watched some video on him?
I've seen plenty of video on him. You know, I'm big into the Japanese players at times. He's a great player. He's also very young. He throws very hard. He's a thrower. I don't know how much of a pitcher he is yet. And that scares me, because you're asking a guy who throws 102 miles an hour, who is used to pitching every 6 days, to move to every 5 days. I have not seen enough to know if he is a pitcher or a thrower yet. That does scare me. There's a lot of teams that want him. I'd say every team in baseball that wants him. I know where I'd like to see him go. I know where my heart wants to see him go. And I know where he's going to end up going. So where do you want me to start? Where I want, where my heart says, or where he's going to go?
Okay. We know where you want him to go, right? Obviously, You want him to be a Met. That's just kind of like cheating, the cheat code there. But where do you think he'll go?
I think he's going to go to the Dodgers, because he is an Ohtani fanboy, like I am.
Oh, is he? Is he 100% Ohtani fanboy, or are we just assuming?
No. He said he wouldn't mind playing with Ohtani. The Dodgers are the favorite to get him, and if they do get him, then they have the opportunity to have a 6-man rotation.
They do have a chance of that. So that's an interesting thing to me. So Shohei Ohtani. Okay, Shohei Ohtani was 42-17 when he came over with a 2.55 ERA. So that's 92 games. When you're looking at Sasaki, he's only got 69 games. Hey, Mr. 69 right here. 69 games, 30-15, 2 ERA. So the numbers are actually pretty interesting on that. 524 strikeouts versus 651 for Ohtani. So basically, Ohtani and him are both. He's like one season less, but like on average, he's got more strikeouts. So it's really kind of interesting comparison, or about the same on average strikeouts. It's an interesting comparison. He is a pitcher only, so that's obviously different.
What's wrong with this guy? Come on, what are you doing? Right, only a pitcher. Get him back.
Over. At least if you want to be Ohtani, be Ohtani. But it's pretty cool what this guy is capable of, and it's pretty amazing. He's a great pitcher. But he only made 18 starts last year, right? So it's one of those things like Ohtani made 24, 23, 22, 21. He made 18 starts last year, and that is his. He made 21 year before, or sorry, 20. Is that 20 in 1 year before? And so it's one of those things that is always interesting when it's so few starts and you coming here, and we want 28 starts, we want 30 starts, 32 starts, that type of thing. And so it's really interesting, and I wonder if he's young enough we can adjust him to that 5-day rotation, all of that. And I think it's really interesting. Again, I said this before, every team is in on him. So this is the best prospect out there, the highest rated basically free agent out there. And he's available to everybody, which is so cool. It doesn't matter who you are. So like everybody can make a bid and say, hey, we're the best place for you. It's just, can you imagine in any world coming from Japan and you got Yamamoto and you got Ohtani sitting at a table saying, hey, come on out to a game. They come to dinner with us. Let's talk to you about the Dodgers. And they just coming off a World Series title where Yamamoto didn't even have like a great season, and Ohtani obviously is all world. like, is there any world where that doesn't happen? Like, how do you not just announce it? Just like right now before they've even talked.
Well, there is a team that I'd really, really like to see him go to that's not the New York Mets. How would you like to see him go to your old team, the Seattle Mariners?
Oh, I'd love it.
I
would
mean,
absolutely love it.
You have the tradition with Ichiro over there. They're a West Coast team, which is closer to Japan. Maybe he doesn't want to be in the shadow of Yamamoto and Shohei. That could be a real possibility. There is something brewing, though, and I want to mention this right now. There is a problem brewing, because if every Japanese player is going to start picking West Coast teams, that's going to be a big problem in the future.
Nope, not a problem. That's part of the game, man. That's part of the gig. If you don't like it, be better, right? If you don't like it, start making better bids, getting guys. Any one of those teams could have gotten Ohtani as a free agent. Any one of those teams could have gotten Yamamoto, but they didn't.
But
so
they
that
want to
to
be.
me, it's a competitive advantage. And Seattle though has a lot more history than Ichiro. A lot more history than Ichiro. Kenji Jojima was there. Kazuhiro Sasaki, one of the best closers in baseball when he was there. So they have a long-standing history with Japanese-born players. It's not been as strong by any means lately, and they've definitely taken that step back. But I'm sorry, like, that won't be a problem in baseball. If you don't like it, get better free agents. Or you know what? If Japanese players want to go to you, fine. Like, make your bid for East Coast guys, Bohemians, going out to Dominican, going down to those type of guys, and you have an advantage there. So it gives and takes. I don't have any problem if Japanese players want to stay on the West Coast. And if you don't like it, play better.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of playing better, though. I mean, there's so many great teams on the East Coast. It's just
players
that they
want to go winners. Players want to go to winners.
But they also want to stay home close to home. There's a big difference between.
That's why Southern teams, like when you're sitting there, like when you're sitting there in Arizona and Florida, you have a natural advantage because that's where players live. San Diego, every player wants to go to San Diego. Every single player. And I guarantee you, every player that's ever been on the West Coast is like, yeah, San Diego. I would always consider San Diego. It's like growing up and the Yankees start talking to you. There's a history there. They have an advantage just by being who they are. Get over it. I don't know. I've got no problem with that. But I do think, though, Major League Baseball misses out a little bit. But at the same time, like, the Yankees had every chance in the world to get Ohtani. And that's my thing about it. The Yankees had every chance to get both of those guys, and they didn't. But they have the Mets have their own Japanese guy that they went with Senga, and they bid big, and they got him. So Senga would have gone out and just been an all world. They would have had a better chance with other guys.
If Kodai Senga is watching, call Sasaki. Tell him, hey, why don't we party over here in New York? There's some good Japanese restaurants.
I guarantee you there's been a conversation with him and saying, hey, like, do you guys know each other? Or the agent, any angle there. But, it's part of the gig, man. West Coast. It's the best coast.
I know it's not on the rundown, but to me, it's almost inevitable that at some point in the next 10 years, there's going to be a Japanese team. There's going to be an MLB team in Japan. Am I crazy?
You're crazy.
Why?
It's the travel. It's too much. It's too far. You can't create road trips with it. I mean, that's to be honest, it was one of the biggest issues with Puerto Rico, Mexico City. I know there's safety issues, but those are the things stopping like some of these places. I wouldn't mind, to me personally, an entire division if you could do that type of thing. But their agreement with NPR, with the Nippon League out there, they're not going to infringe on that either. But right now they're getting the talent that they want anyway, so they're not gonna infringe on it. I'm just amazed there's nothing in China. I'm amazed that there's not a Chinese kind of league. There's just too many people, and they do like baseball. But for those,
the president-elect would not allow them to come over unless we tariff them. China.
But that would make our products cheaper, right? So we wouldn't want to import as much. Anyways, so you're getting into it. I love it. Yes. Rile it up a little bit. But for all those Chinese players that want to get better, I know the absolute solution for you. Give me a call, send me a text, write the show. Top Velocity Pro, I am here to train you guys. I'm get you better. I will make you the best athlete you will ever be through Top Velocity Pro, through our system. We look at you from every single angle, from the ground on up, from training, diet, everything. We cover all the bases. Like I said, we make you the best athlete you will ever possibly be. And look at James now. I made James into just an amazing slow pitch softball player.
You are so full of crap. In fact, there's a better chance that your wife is going to get me into shape than you will.
Actually, she's a pretty amazing trainer too. So if you ever need a trainer, contact me. My wife is an incredible trainer. She does online, but I do online too. All that fun stuff.
Look, I know that I have a meeting with her set up for 3:00 tomorrow. Did she tell you about that?
Yes, she did. I was on the phone, James, when you set it up.
Oh, damn. I was hoping that you wouldn't find out.
But with that all being said, we actually got to talk to a special guest this week. We brought it's actually great interview here. We got to do it earlier this week. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Pete Rose.
We're so stupid. Joining us now, our special correspondent, the ghost of Pete Rose.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm honored to be here, even though neither of you bastards wanted me to get into the Hall of Fame. I get it. I gambled on sports and pursued underage girls, but I never did steroids. That has to count for something.
Hey, Pete, how's the afterlife treating you?
Being dead really sucks. I lose every bet I make. I can't get a decent sandwich, and the women reject me. Even dead porn stars don't look my way. The afterlife is very lonely. I'm counting down the days until Lenny Dykstra finally kicks the bucket. I need a roommate.
Oh, Pete, I'm so sorry to hear that. Do you have the opportunity to follow what's going on in baseball at least? What do you think of this year's free agent class?
I was looking at the betting odds for free agency. DraftKings has the Pirates at plus 1,100 to sign Pete Alonso. Talk about a sucker's bet. There's a better chance that I get into the Hall of Fame than Pete Alonso heading to that dump. If it wasn't for Paul Skeens' girlfriend, Livy Dunn, no one would even know that Pittsburgh still has a professional team. Seriously, can you imagine Pete Alonso going out for a night on the town in Pittsburgh? I used to go out there just to pick up a slump buster.
So no chance that Pete goes to the Pirates in your mind. That's interesting. What about the biggest fish in the pond, Juan Soto? Does he re-sign with the Yankees?
David, every time you open your mouth, all I can think about is how much I would have loved to step into the box against you. If you threw that pathetic slider, I would have cranked it for a double at least, and then I would have blown a kiss to your wife in the stands. But I digress. To answer your question, no, I don't think Juan Soto will go back to the Yankees. They're a joke. Can you believe they signed Boone to an extension?
I agree with you, Pete. I don't think he's staying with the Yankees. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us. We'll check in with you soon.
All right, guys, your time is up. I'm late for my tea time. O.J. Simpson and I are playing the back nine this evening. I don't even want to think about what might happen to me if I'm late. He might look nice, but we all know that he has a mean streak in him.
There you have it. Pete Rose joined us from hell. The AI Pete Rose from hell joined us.
Whoa! He's not in hell just because he could be in Arizona. It's hot in Arizona.
It is hot.
I'm truly twisted.
Oh my God. So twisted, so messed up. Your humor is one of a kind, James.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
Oh, it's so fun. This week is always interesting. Every week on the show with you is always interesting.
But at least now we have a special correspondent for gambling. That's good.
Oh, honestly, that he's coming back. He's 100% coming back. We need to bring like AI Pete Rose's bet of the week, like lock of the week.
Now, it's very possible that if we're going downstairs to talk to a player, maybe we go upstairs to talk to our Lord and Savior one of these days soon.
Right? I dude, done. We're in for all this.
With that being said, we actually have a real interview that I want to talk about next week. We're going to be joined by our good friend, former Mets GM, the Duke, Jim Duquette. And this isn't evil Jim Duquette. This isn't AI Jim Duquette, the real Jim Duquette.
Well, what I want to know is what was his like betting odds on Aaron Boone re-signing with the Yankees or getting his option picked up by the Yankees? Because personally, I did not suspect. I would have said this. I would have put my odds on Aaron Boone coming back. But I think there'd be some heavy conversations about where the organization is and expectations. What do you like? What are you thinking of about the Yankees bringing Aaron Boone back?
I think that Aaron Boone is a button pusher. I think he does exactly what the front office tells him, and that's the reason he survived as long as he has. It is a joke to me that he is still the manager of the New York Yankees. They are a bad fundamental team. Isn't the manager supposed to make sure that they're up on their fundamentals? You tell me. I didn't play in Major League Baseball. What's his job?
His job's to win. To be honest,
his job is to win. And
that's
part
it.
of that is to make sure that these guys have good fundamentals. Does he do that? No. All they do on that team is look at the analytics. Analytics are killing our game, and it's killing the New York Yankees.
That's so that's my problem with this is bad fundamentals, yes, without a doubt, and that's part of baseball. That's part of who you are. That's core thing, right? But so is hitting, so is pitching, so is a bullpen, so is a million other things. Fundamentals without a doubt. Here's my problem is you're about to fire the manager with the fourth best record in baseball since he's joined. And he's only one game behind the Braves and only 15 games behind the Astros, who have done pretty damn well. And, significant, 53 games behind the Dodgers, right? Dodgers in that time have 2 World Series championships. Astros, Braves, World Series championships. So here's my issue with all of this. We're criticizing and wanting to fire and get rid of somebody who's done nothing but win. And so is the question of it is where is it that our expectations are so high for him? Or do we really feel like he's underperformed? And if this team had a different manager, they'd be winning even more games.
It's not so much the manager. It's the whole way that organization is run. If they weren't so reliant on analytics and actually used their eyes once in a while to see, hey, you know what? I don't care about the analytics. Is there a reason why they took out Garrett Cole so early in the World Series? Yes, because we're not supposed to go the third time through the lineup. That's my problem. So if you're going to sit there and I'd want to get rid of both of them, to tell you the truth, but I do not think Aaron Boone is a good manager. I don't think he does anything but listen to what Brian Cashman says. And you can tell me, oh, he wins. Fantastic. Aaron Rodgers has won plenty in his life. He's got 1 Super Bowl. He's not on that same level as Tom Brady.
Okay, so it's always interesting. You bring it right back to the Jets. And
no, but what I'm talking about,
fan.
What I'm talking about is championships. The guy hasn't won any championships with a huge payroll, with a team that should have won the World Series a couple of times during his tenure, and they can't get over the hump. That's why you get rid of Aaron Boone.
It's actually interesting. Like when we look at the Dodgers and we looked at the type of teams they've created, the Astros, we look at the Braves. Right, so those are the core 4 of Major League Baseball right now over the last 7 years, and throw the Phillies in there too. Like you can't think of holes on those teams. You don't think of holes like the Astros until this year, and still like where's their hole? Their hole is like health. Okay, like you can't really do a whole lot about that.
The
Dodgers, where's their hole? Like 7, 8, 9 in their lineup, but they got the best pitching staff in the world, best bullpen in the world for like their entire everybody that's so hurt it's an all-star team of hurt players. Braves, I mean, like it's like okay, like where's their hole? Maybe financially because they just need like a couple bullpen guys and a couple other starters. Like they just didn't have the money quite to go there yet, but they've got the best lineup out of all of these teams. And so you're looking at this but like every year you look at the Yankees, you're like, there's some glaring holes. There's some things that this team has been left without. They don't have prospects to bring up. They don't have like their order is so top heavy with basically Judge and then input other player here. That's it. That's their lineup. Judge and 8 other guys. And then and now you bring in Soto and you're like, all right, cool. Like that's a great team. It's still 2 guys. And then you're like, all right, their great replacement was an average baseball player in Jazz Chisholm, right? Like that's their replacement. That's what we're dealing with the Yankees right now is like, it's Aaron Judge, Soto, and then average. And so when we're like, but when we go Dodgers, okay, like let's play that game with the Dodgers. Okay, we got Teoscar, we got Freeman, Betts, and then we're going to Ohtani, and now you've got 5 average, And that's still like, okay, like you get a guy here and there. Max Muncy will have some like great stuff. Like the Yankees will take a Max Muncy guy any day because they're not getting that. And then they have a better rotation overall, and then they have a better bullpen overall. So like I've actually been looking at this, and I am a Aaron Boone. He frustrates the hell out of me. I don't even think he's a great manager. I do not. I know him personally. I'll say this honestly. I don't think he's a great manager. I think he's a great manager of people. I don't know if he's a great game manager. I don't like how he's ran the bullpen. I don't think how the decision making on taking out oh my God, what's the name? Garrett Cole game 1 of the World Series. I don't agree with that.
What about bringing in Nestor Cortez?
Without a doubt, I don't get me wrong. That's a bad decision. It cost them a game. It cost them the World Series
in my mind.
Absolutely. But I also say this, like, out of all the good teams in baseball, and we didn't get to the Phillies, like their lineup's incredible, and they've got 3 stud pitchers, and then they've got bullpen issues here where they got to fix, but like that's what's really stopped the Phillies, and that's why the Yankees are better than the Phillies. But like when we're looking at this, we're constantly dealing with, but they only have like 2 bullpen guys, and then they don't have anything in the lineup, and they're half the rotations and he's still getting them to wins, and that's where I sit there and go, okay, him, Casey Stengel, and Joe Torre, the only Yankee managers that ever get this team to 6 playoff appearances in their first 7 years. He's doing the things you ask. He's getting them there, and some point, the team has to get him a couple more freaking pieces to get him over the top. Like we're looking at him and trying to compare to the Dodgers. Like we did this. The Dodgers all day long was like man for man minus Judge and Soto. I would take the Dodgers lineup every single day. And if Ohtani played right field, I would take Ohtani over Soto.
All right. I'm going to ask you one question, and then I'm going to stop with this whole conversation. Who would you rather have over the last 5 years? Would you have rather had Aaron Boone, or would you have rather had Buck Showalter?
Aaron Boone.
Really? You would have rather
Showalter bring you guys the same thing, and then a season. I'm sorry, but like he's done nothing but get you 90+ wins every year.
Okay.
Buck Showalter has had some brutal seasons, and people end up hating him over time. End up hating him. And they're run out of town constantly, because you can't handle it. If you had one season to win, yes, Buck Showalter, one season, but that's it. Then out of town because he's not going to provide. He's going to run everybody so freaking frustrated. I can put up and fight for you for once, but there's something where guys just, dude, there's no connection there. And I remember hearing stories about him and players are like, dude, like it's tough. It's not that he expects so much. He's sometimes just a prick and a dick. And it's just there's only so much anxiety you can take as a player from your manager. And I'll give you this, like Aaron Boone is cool, calm, relax. Would I take Terry Francona any day of the week? Yes. But he's not available. Like, okay. Would I take Dave Roberts? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. He's gotten it done, but he's gotten it done basically on the same level of Aaron Boone, minus he's finished over the finish line, and every single time he asks, he has the Dodgers ownership right in his back pocket. Every single time. There's a 90% chance they don't even get Soto back. And now what? Like, this is the teams that he's constantly fighting with. Like, they've got a high budget, but at the end of the day, the players on the field aren't really producing outside of a couple. Okay. And I got to give him credit. Like, he's put some damn good teams together where you're sitting there scratching and crawling going like, yeah, but like, there's so much guaranteed money in the guys that aren't performing.
I'll say this. I agree with you that those disciplinarian guys who can be pricks and assholes, they get run out of town a lot quicker. But those guys, most of the time, are the guys that win. I don't care what the sport is. Herb Brooks with the USA, they hated him. They beat the Russians.
Yeah, but one time. That's the thing about it. You get your one shot. Like Buck Showalter lasted 2 years with the Mets. 2 epping years. First year still was a failure compared to what Aaron Boone did. And second year, get the hell out because we can't stand you anymore. Like at this point, like that's my problem is like we're arguing like who are the other? Okay, Craig Counsell. Dude, I would take Craig Counsell. But Aaron Boone's done better than Craig Counsell. Yes, Craig Counsell's done it with less. But they've also created
Aaron Judge.
But they've also created prospect after prospect after prospect after prospect in their organization. So
because
he's
Cashman
constantly
sucks.
having players come up to the big leagues that are good. Aaron Boone's had nothing because there's no players there. Dominguez is their best prospect.
And
Dude's
he
not
didn't
even playing.
And what did he do? He played Alex Verdugo in that last at bat over Jason Dominguez. And who's going to get you who had a better chance of hitting it out of the park?
Dude, without a doubt, Dominguez. Without a doubt, Dominguez. But at the same time, Verdugo just had a good game. Like, I'm sorry, but I think Buck Showalter does the same thing. And again, if he puts in Dominguez and he strikes out, and we're going to sit here and say the same exact thing about that decision. It's just going to be the opposite side of it.
Hey, Pete Rose said it best. We just spoke to him. He said it's ridiculous that they re-signed Aaron Boone. I'm done.
Okay, you're done. Really quick, who has a better winning percentage, Aaron Boone or Buck Showalter?
Oh, it's probably Aaron Boone.
Aaron Boone by a lot. 584 to 527. 584 to 527.
The only team that Aaron Boone has ever managed is the Yankees, and they should be winning. Buck Showalter was there when the Orioles were trash. He was there when the Mets made a lot of big mistakes. He was there in Arizona. He was there when the Yankees in 95, 94, I can't remember the years, weren't as good. They were right before. He had Don Mattingly. He didn't have Jeter. You understand what I'm saying?
Notice they got rid of him in Arizona and then won a World Series. He was there the year before. He was there in 2000.
But he elevates the team. Does Aaron Boone elevate a team?
The moment they got rid of him in New York, they won a World Series.
He elevates
the moment they got rid of him in Arizona, they won a World Series. The moment they got rid of him in Texas, they started going to the World Series. Like, I don't know. I'm seeing a trend here. The moment that they got rid of him in the Mets, they went to the NLCS. Like, dude, there is a trend, and the trend is Buck Showalter leaves and you become good. Like,
but you get to that certain level first.
No, it's that you needed a change in management. Like, you bought players, and he wasn't under the great manager. You got a new manager, you win games. Like, he has had his highlights, and I'm not going to ever take that away from Buck Showalter. He has had your highlights, but there's started to be this trend of when he leaves, the team passes the edge. Like, they get there, he gets them, he gets the most out of them, but then his stay is gone. Like, he was in Baltimore, and his last season in Baltimore, they were 47 and 115. 47 and 115 his last year there. Yes, they had 69 wins in 93, 85, 96, 81, 89, 75, 47. Like, that was a trend going the wrong way. And like every Mets 101 to 75, right? Like Diamondbacks, they won 100 games under him and then 85. And then he left and they won the World Series. Like, there's nothing wrong. Buck Showalter gets a lot out of you. It's just that there's a stress level that you can't take as a player. If you need one season, fine, but do not go for the second one. Like, I get it. There's managers, and I'm going to say this. There's managers out there that you bring that minor league guy up, you give that third base coach the chance. He's there for a couple of years. Dude, you're like, all right, we're so close. Then you just can't quite get over the edge. You get rid of him. You bring in Buck for 1 year. Dude, we got the team. We got this. This is our one shot. And then you part ways, and that's your chance. Like, you're winning it or you're not. It's like, when you got that one season, this is it. Then now guys are free agents, all this stuff. Like, you got that one chance. He's that manager, I think, for that chance.
Okay. I would have never brought him back. Ever. Ever. I would have brought back Showalter. I would have brought Don Mattingly in. I would have let you manage that team before I let Aaron Boone screw up another season.
I think there are great choices out there. I don't know if they're going to be difference makers. I think that's what they looked at across the league and said, at the end of the day, he's winning. At the end of the day, it's hard to fire somebody when you went to the World Series, especially after like they've gotten better and better and better. I have a hard time. Where I stand, I still don't think he's a great manager. I'd take Craig Counsell in a heartbeat. At the same time, Aaron Boone's done better. So it's just it's hard for me to fire somebody when your team keeps winning. Now, if the team fell apart this year, like we talked about, if they didn't get the World Series this year, if they had a breakdown, 100%. But like, dude, I get to the World Series every year, I'm going to pay my manager a lot of money, and I don't want him to go anywhere.
Yeah, but you're not a winner. You're the first runner-up.
Yeah, you might not be able to win that last game, but there's very, very, very few that can. But getting there, sometimes it's on the players a little bit.
Right, but we know that he can't.
Players a little bit.
But we know after all this time that he can't win that game. The only reason he's back, and I'll take it full circle, the only reason he's back is because Brian Cashman can feed him a spoonful of shit, and he'll say, thank you so much.
I 100% take that comment back, because the problem is any single damn guy you're hiring now is going to take the spoonful of shit and put a big old smile on their face. There's not a manager out there, I don't care who it is, Buck Showalter, who won't take that big old smile of shit right now and smile, because it doesn't matter. That's Major League Baseball. That's who you are. You're not hiring the old Grady Littles. You're not hiring these guys that are managing from the dugout with the arms crossed and you're the field general. They don't do that anymore. Nobody that you're hiring is doing that anymore. They are managing the people in the dugout. They're managing the men. They're not managing the game. The game is managed by the front office. They're paying people just as they're paying a front office to manage the game. They're paying the manager to manage the people. And that's the shift in baseball that nobody's ever actually said those words. You're managing the people. The front office, the geek in the seat that's sitting there and understands the X's and O's better than everybody, is managing the game. And so you're managing people now. There's no longer you managing the game. That's been gone for years and years and years and years and years. Terry Francona doesn't manage the game. He manages it according to the X's and O's.
Sorry, I don't. If that's the case, then why not hire your son DZ? Because he's a wonderful babysitter, and that's all he is.
But that's the thing is, I think we're all confused by what's actually happening. Dave Roberts doesn't manage the game. None of these guys.
This is in progress. They're going backward.
Stephen Boyd, who's going to win Manager of the Year, isn't managing the game. No one of these guys are. Not one manager in Major League Baseball is managing the game. No one is. They're not. So I don't like it's for me. It's always like, oh, he's just doing what he says. Well, yeah, they all do. Like Craig Counsell is doing what the front office says. Like everybody is doing that. Like my boy down in Tampa, like the greatest manager in Major League history, doing the most with the least, is just managing the people. And they're making everybody happy every single day and wanting to go to the ballpark and enjoying it and understanding the analytics and how to apply it. And then somebody else is telling them the X's and O's and who to move in and who to not. But they're telling them all that information, and then they're following the sheet during the game. And then they're having conversation. Dude, these guys are having front office conversations every day before games and after games about how to manage the game, because that's the guy who's actually managing it are up in the stands. Anyways.
If that's the case, hold on. If that's the case, somebody pay me and I'll create an AI version of a manager, and they won't have to pay him millions of dollars. You just pay me a couple $100,000 and I'll create the ghost of Pete Rose can be the next manager. If you're looking,
they already have that basically, and then somebody stands there and actually manages the people. Dude, they're basically doing it. It's so far above us. It's so far above. Anyway,
then we need holograms.
Ball player. Let's talk about a ball player from back in the day when they actually used to manage the games, and guys used to actually get out there and argue with umpires because of the X's and O's. Ken Griffey Jr. Our boy went on Shannon Sharp, who's not my boy anymore. But Shannon Sharp's podcast, his show, talking about Bronny. Oh, Bronny. James, tell me a little bit about Junior and what he talked about Bronny. Obviously, famous father-son duo.
I don't need to. We'll roll the clip.
Tell Bronny, hey, relax, enjoy it, be you. You're not gonna be him. Nobody's him. And the same thing I feel like my dad told me when I got there. He said, "This is your team. I'm just here."
And he went on. He also had another clip when we asked.
You're going to learn a lot by being able to sit there and be on the bench watching him. People go, oh, he needs to go to the G League. He needs this. He needs that. I tell you what, I learned more sitting there watching my dad than anything.
Okay.
So, couple of
Go ahead.
interesting things there. Number one, you know that I respect Junior. I love Junior. He's a business partner of mine. He's a friend of both of ours. We absolutely adore him. I agree with Junior that Bronny would probably learn more watching LeBron than going down to the G League. Where I disagree is that Bronny does not belong in the G League or the NBA. He's not a good enough player. That's the difference. When Junior was a player, when he was watching his father, it's because he was a talented guy. Bronny has no talent. Or, I mean, he has talent. He can he's a lot better than I am, but he's not an NBA talent. He's barely a G League talent.
That's the problem. Griffey was like the greatest baseball player ever coming up. He was a huge touted prospect, set in time in the minor leagues. There's a certain level that you need to be at. That's the problem with Bronny. Like, he should still be in college. He is not professional. He's not professional on any standard. In college, he wasn't all anything. Like, not even when you're getting to all conference, not even when we're getting to all like to be in the NBA level of athlete, you have to be. If you're not even like a top 10 pick, you're nobody, basically. I mean, in all honesty, it doesn't mean you can't be. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened. But in all reality, it's like top 15 or bust at that point. He wasn't even like an all-conference player. Like, I wasn't an all-conference player. I wasn't. I'll be honest. I just wasn't. But I had also gone to other leagues and done so well where I'm in the Hall of Fame of certain leagues that I played in college. So
really?
Yes, Cape Cod Hall of Famer, brother. You know, and so when you're doing that stuff, and I got a state player of the year in high school, whatever, and you have to excel on certain levels. And like, when we're talking about Bronny and his big like yay was like a game. It was like a game. Like, that might be a bad matchup. That might be like you just try something. That ball might just fall into your hands and like, talent there, but you got to have weeks and months, and you got to be able to go out there and never stop. And that's my only issue with Bronny is like, you've never seen this level. And as we're the internet's going.
Yeah, your internet is really bad, but don't worry about it. I can talk until you reset.
Take it over, dude.
What I was trying to say is that it looks like you're back now. Yeah, Bronny just stop. You know, when you were a kid, I'm gonna make a pretty decent bet that you were, if not the best player on the team, you were one of the two best players of the team.
No,
really.
But I got better every year.
Okay, you got better every year, but when you were at Rice, you were one of the better players on the team, correct?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, at that point, I was a first rounder. I was the closer of a national championship winning team, and I was, 2 wins and a save in the College World Series, and I pitched 5 out of 6 games or something like that.
Bronny went to USC, and not only was he not the best player on the team, he wasn't even the best in the top 5 on his team. It was just pathetic. He came out of college too soon, and that's only because Daddy said, "I want you to play with me because my legacy is going to be better. I want to be like Junior."
Here's my problem is like LeBron is an incredible player. Top 10, top 5, whatever you want to argue. I'm sorry, he was not Michael. Sorry, he was not Michael.
Stop.
But he's there. He's in a conversation with that top 5 type of conversation. Like, without a doubt, the numbers back it up, rings back it up. Everything you want to say about him back up, no matter whether I like him or not. The numbers are there. You can't argue. I'm a baseball guy. You can't argue with numbers. My problem though is like, this is all about him. This was all about him, and that's the big knock we've always said about LeBron James. It's about the name on the front of his jersey. Oh, sorry, it's about LeBron. It's about the name on the back. It's about James. I say the front. It's sorry, that's the old adage. It's supposed to be about the front, not the back.
Yeah.
It's about the back for him. It's about LeBron James. LeBron wanted to play with his son. it's a misuse of power. Son didn't earn it, man. And that's the problem. Like, you're talking about like privilege. That's the ultimate privilege. Like, he didn't earn it. He did nothing. And it actually hurt his development. And I get the whole watching his dad. He's watched his dad. He's watched his dad. He's watched his dad a lot. You can go to every single game, every single practice. Like, nothing's stopping you. What you need is to play against talent that's closer to you and to improve, to get better. Practicing on the Lakers during the season is not it. Like, that's like, they are getting ready every day. They're already on a certain level. They're getting ready every day. This ain't Kobe. You're not at 4 a.m. Kobeing it up, like practicing like one-on-one against Kobe every day. Go do that, dude. You'll be the best player ever. You'll be the best player you'll ever be, type of thing. Go one-on-one against your dad every single day. The problem is you're two different positions. Go against the very best every day. And then when you constantly get beat, now you got to go against somebody else lower and train and get better and then beat them. Prove to me you can earn it. Because honestly, I got nothing against Bronny. I actually think he seems to be a fucking awesome guy. There seems to be about Bronny, everything seems like you check every box, seems like a great guy. Works hard, mouth shut, head down, focus, all that stuff. You're just not you're not on this type of talent yet, if ever. So go to the G and play. The problem with Junior, like Junior can say, like the moment he stepped in the minor leagues and what was it? Like San Bernardino, like that's like kind of the famous like San Bernardino thing. He's better than everybody on the field. And he proved it. And then you go play against another level. Then you go to spring training and you're better than everybody on the field. And then you go to your dad and your dad's like, you're the next greatest thing to ever happen, dude. Like, this is your team. That's the reason he said that, because he's on his way out and you're the greatest player of all time coming in. He's like, dude, this is your team. And like, everybody sees it. Bronny's not there. So you can't, Junior can't relate to that. Yeah. Because Junior came in and you just watch some of those videos of the day. Like, Junior's like, he had a chip on his shoulder and he had confidence through the roof on the other shoulder. And like, that's a scary combination when you've got the anger and the hunger and you know you're good. Like that's scary. And that's why you become the greatest. That's Barry Bonds. Yep. He had a chip on his shoulder because he was pissed about the world and he knows he's the greatest player of all time. Yeah. And the scary part was he was insecure about it. Like, so, like, you're like, dude, he has to then show it to everybody at all times. Like, dude, like, Barry, bump them to stop. Like, another level down. And he's like, I don't get it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Can we make another attempt? I know we tried in the past. Can we make another attempt to reach out to Barry? I want him on the show. There's 5 guys on the planet that I want an interview with, and Barry is one of those 5.
Yes. Well, we checked Pete Rose off, so we're good.
Well, no, I've interviewed the real Pete Rose plenty of times. Yes. I mean, Bo. We want Bo. We want Barry. I do anything to talk to MJ.
Do you even get to say Michael, like Michael Jordan? Like, it's not even like real. Can you even can you put him on the list? Because it's so unrealistic to ever happen.
So I'll give you a quick little story. When I was working at MLB.com, I called at the time, the Bobcats PR every day for 6 months in an attempt to get Michael Jordan on. And my pitch was, listen, we just want to talk baseball with him. He loves baseball because of his dad. Can we please just talk to him? They told me flat out, he gives us about 2 hours worth of media time for the whole year. So it's very unlikely. We got to the point where one day they told me, okay, this is your only shot. There's a 50-50 chance he's going to call in today. If he doesn't call in, you're not getting him. If you get him, it's a miracle. He never called in, but that was the closest I ever got.
Oh, that's cool.
The offers that I made to Bobcats PR, we offered him jerseys from guys in baseball because at the time it was MLB.com. We could get damn near anything we wanted.
Anybody.
But
that's cool. Ah, man, that's actually really neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we came close, but that was it. So he's my white whale. But Barry and Bo, I mean, hell, we even let's pull back the curtain a little bit. We have only offered to pay for an interview once in our lives, and we offered to pay Bo Jackson's his
charity because he's doing the race thing.
Yeah,
the bicycling.
We said that we would make a donation, but he just doesn't want to do it.
Just didn't want.
And I've begged Griffey, and I'm not going to do it again, but I've begged Griffey because they're friends. Like, dude, can you get him on the show? Like,
yeah, that would have been absolutely neat, absolutely cool. But now we start talking about football. It's a transition. The Cowboys suck. Yes, Cowboys suck. This is your daily reminder that Bronny sucks and the Cowboys suck. Oh, it just feels so good. It just feels good. Why does it feel so good?
I don't know.
Cowboys suck. Dak, I've got all the respect in the world for Dak Prescott. I actually think he's a great quarterback. He's a great quarterback. But he's announced that he's having surgery on his hamstring, season-ending surgery, and like that's the thing is like those type of surgeries you just never know how guys come back from it. It's really interesting when again he's not a runner, but he's one of those guys you have to respect to run type of thing, which is the scary. When like you still have to respect him, like a Josh Allen type of thing. You're like he's not a runner, but damn, he'll run if he has to. John Elway. I think John Elway is that first guy where you're like. You have to respect it, but he'd rather throw. Are the Cowboys done? Is there the window completely closed now?
It's not only closed; it's locked, and they nailed it to the to the wood. I mean, they're done. I think the window closed as soon as Zeke was gone and that offensive line started deteriorating over time. But you're going to patch it together. You got CeeDee Lamb. He's a very good wide receiver.
Yes.
You ended up getting Micah Parsons, who was, a difference maker on defense. And you're like, okay, maybe we still got a shot. But the decisions that this organization has made are really dumb. And part of that problem is you have an 83-year-old man who owns the team making those decisions. I think it's really time for Jerry Jones to take a step back and say, you know what? I don't have my fastball anymore. I'm not going to be able to sign these guys. I mean, their third-string quarterback was a disgrace with San Francisco. He traded for him. He's paying $5.5 million for a guy who's third string. You can get a damn good player in the NFL with $5.5 million.
Wait, step back. Did you just say disgrace?
Yeah.
What? How is he a disgrace?
Their first overall pick, and he sucked, and they ended up trading him after 1 or 2 years.
Wait, did you ever follow what happened? He got hurt.
Please,
he got hurt.
He got hurt, but a lot of quarterbacks.
Brock Purdy played so good, he knocked him out, and you had nothing to do with him. Like Brock Purdy's level of play was so high, they got rid of a first-round draft pick because of that. That's not on Trey Lance. That is on Brock Purdy and his shoulders because there's so many reports now that have come out like Mike Shanahan, he was working kind of in the front office or helping a little bit, consulting. And back right after the draft when they drafted Brock Purdy last in the draft, famous, right? The last man in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, he said immediately, he's like, dude, this is like behind closed doors. He's like, this is special. This is special, special, special. And then when you had Jimmy G, greatest looking man in football history, go down, and then you've got Trey Lance step up and immediately go down, and and that's the thing. Like that's the problem. Like it's not on Trey Lance's shoulder. I think Trey Lance is actually really good. I think he's a stud. It's just when you're sitting there and you got Brock Purdy, like Mr. Iowa State, coming out of nowhere, and so good and such a manager of the front of the team and never makes mistakes, you're out. And I think the 49ers were the smartest thing they've ever done was actually just get rid of Trey Lance. Like you got to get rid of the excess guy and take the money, get the money back. And nothing. Trey Lance had nothing to do with that. I think the problem is you go to the Cowboys, which is actually a great spot, but you're going to die in the fact that Dak Prescott would never get hurt. Well, Dak Prescott is now hurt. You're going to keep Cooper Rush because he's been there. And he's kind of been pretty good a little bit when he's had his opportunities. But Trey Lance, actually, I think this is a great spot for him. I think he'll end up being the starter.
If Trey Lance was better, he would have been starting right now. Right now. He's been on that team long enough to know the playbook. He's working.
I think the problem is when you got a guy in Cooper Rush who's had chances and actually kind of did really well with them. That's when you're sitting there going like, shit. But I'll give you this. I will give you that. But to me, it's like Trey Lance is a perfect guy that should have been behind Aaron Rodgers. Trey Lance is that guy. I just don't know if they could take that hit, that $5 million or whatever. Like there's spots where I'm putting Trey Lance right behind the starting quarterback and going like, dude, we know you're super uber talented. Situation was tough, injury tough, but like behind Aaron Rodgers is perfect because I would if I was the Jets, Trey Lance sitting there in backup role is perfect because Rodgers is going to go no matter how Rodgers did, Super Bowl or not, Super Bowl or realistic what's happening right now. The next guy in line is going to have an opportunity in a year or two, and at the very least, you get a guy that everybody believed in for once.
Can I ask you one question?
What?
You mentioned it earlier, and I just have to ask. If Jimmy Garoppolo is that good looking, why didn't your wife draft him for you on your fantasy team?
I told her not to. I secretly said, please do not. Please do not. I said, hey, and I told her straight up, I go, everybody knows Jimmy. Okay, we couldn't interfere, so I didn't interfere, but I did say this. This is why I said this isn't interfering. I was like, hey, just so you know, he's a free agent. He doesn't have a team. So if you're drafting him, he's not playing. Like he's not going to play. And my wife doesn't know football enough to understand what that meant was don't fucking draft Jimmy G, even though he's the best looking guy in the league. And she went with Dak because he's a good looking guy, man. I give him that. When he's got the beard trimmed up and he's got the tight look, even when he wears that cowboy hat, he's a good looking man.
So for the viewers who don't know what the hell we're talking about, we were on the phone yesterday. You were driving back from Las Vegas, and you told me, oh, yeah, my wife drafted Dak Prescott because she thought he was the best-looking guy of who was left. I'm surprised she didn't get Jimmy Garoppolo for that reason.
Well, Jimmy G was the best-looking man alive, but he's a free agent. Come on, dude. You still got to be on the roster. My wife's still understanding roster management here. My problem was, so it's a family league. So it was a friends and family league. So like, not friends and family. It's like my boys are in it, but like it started out with our flag football team and the couple of the dads started the league to get the boys into fantasy football, which is like primo idea. And so it's everyone has to have a son, father and a son. So I got both my boys into it. DZ's like all into fantasy football. And I basically told the boys, like, I need you guys to become experts. I need boys to talk to about this stuff. And DZ's like legit good. But I made a trade early in the season because I had Dak and I had Dak and I had Jamar Chase and he had Burrows and CD and he had the number one pick in the draft. So I said, all right, I'll trade you Chase for CD. And then I traded him Saquon for the running back here with the Cardinals. And I'm just dying on the name right here, Connor. And but it was more of like a kind of like, hey, buddy, like a little nudge a little bit too. But I thought CD and Dak would be perfect together, like just combo point. I wasn't going to get Burrow for my boys. And so that was probably the worst trade in fantasy football history.
Oh, the Cowboys.
I did make my trade. I think I told you this. I traded Malik Neighbors and a running back for Saquon, and that's worked out very well.
That's been a pretty good deal considering that the Giants are awful. Basically, if you're a Jets, a Giants, or a Cowboys fan, we'll give you permission right now to jump off the bandwagon and find a new team. So, Milton Bradley, if you're watching, like I told you yesterday, you might be heard about the situation with the Cowboys, but at least you're not a Jets fan.
That is true. I do got to hit this because I just want to ask really quick. Chiefs, have you been paying attention to what the hell happened to the Chiefs?
You know what? I haven't been paying attention to the Chiefs at all. What happened?
Broncos were beating them all game, and Chiefs went down. Or Chiefs took a 2-point lead or 1-point lead, doesn't really matter. Broncos get downfield, hit the field goal to win the game, no time on the clock. Chiefs block it. So the Chiefs remain undefeated. Broncos moved to 5-5, 9-0. The Chiefs are 9-0. They are winning every game by the skin of their teeth. And I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with the Chiefs on this.
It's all right. The Chiefs will lose a game. It'll probably be to a team like the Jets.
Well, and that's the thing, though. It's like every single game the Chiefs have been playing have been like this. Like nail biter. Last week they won by 4. The week before by 7. Like every game basically besides like 1 or 2. Like the Bengals, they had to kick every game has been like 1 score. They just pull something out of their butt. Patrick Mahomes is such a good quarterback. I don't know. I don't know. I think they're going to get caught in the playoffs by a team that's just better prepared.
Really quick,
They're so good. Damn it.
I just want to ask you, you mentioned the Chiefs, you mentioned Pat Mahomes, and we were talking about what Griffey said earlier. Are you of the same opinion that I am, that if you draft a quarterback, you have to let him sit at this point? I understand the finances behind it. You have that 50-year option and everything like that. But every time you see some of these quarterbacks, not every time, but a lot of times you see these quarterbacks come out, take Sam Darnold, and play with a team that has nothing there and doesn't learn anything behind a backup quarterback. They flounder for a long time. Look at Geno Smith. There's a reason why they sat Pat Mahomes. You telling me that Pat Mahomes, when he came out of college, wasn't as good as Sam Darnold or Geno Smith or a lot of these guys?
He's such a different talent than those guys when he was coming out. It was so incredible. And we saw it, knowing our boy with Troy, and he was talking about his Patrick, and back in like sophomore year in high school, I knew about Patrick, and he was, I remember watching him at Tech when he was a freshman, sophomore, and all that stuff, and like watching him grow. And then that draft year, I'm like, Broncos, like, this is so obvious. This is such an obvious pick. He's so talented, and the things he can do on the football field, like he's a pocket passer until he doesn't have to be, and he's a running quarterback until he can stop and just throw from his side, or like jump pass, left-handed pass. I mean, there's so much talent there that it was just so obscenely obvious. But to answer your question, I've said this forever, man. You don't draft a quarterback when you've got more needs. When you've got a team full of holes, fill those holes. If I have the number one pick, if I was the Bears, dude, I am trading that pick. And I'm filling every single gap I have possible. I am creating a monster of a team, and then I'm signing a Kirk Cousins, signing a Sam Darnold to hold to hold the position a little bit if I have to, because I can get a good quarterback. I can move back up for a quarterback once I have the team, and that's when you're seeing really good teams still always stay good. They have a great team, and then they fill quarterback when they can. Or when they need to, and that's the thing about it, is like we always see the same teams being good. It's not always because the quarterback's so great. No. Sometimes it is, but it's because the team is so good. And then like when the quarterback, like the Steelers are still 7-2, dude, and they've got. I mean, look at that quarterback situation. They literally went out and traded for 2 different quarterbacks that nobody wanted, and they're still winning games, like, because they're great. They're a very good football team, and that's the thing about it. Is like that's why we see like the same teams always be bad, the same teams always be good in the NFL. You don't see, like in baseball, you see shifts. Basketball, you see shifts. It's so easy to shift in basketball, but you don't see it in baseball. You don't see it in football because they constantly keep going the same. Like the Bears, I'm sorry, like Caleb Williams is an incredibly talented player. Like we all see it. You can't miss it. You have the number one pick, and you've got holes on defense, you got holes on offense. Like your offensive line is an absolute Swiss cheese. And I get it. You might be good, but you could have been a lot better over time by just trading him, and you would have gotten the world. And you still would have gotten your first round draft pick of your wide receiver, who's a stud. He could have filled the hole. Hell, he could have kept Justin Fields there and still like had a manageable team. And then if you suck, you go get your quarterback once, but you filled in 5 more holes out of 1 pick. 1 pick could have been 5 problem solves instead of 4 problems with a quarterback. And guess what? The dude you traded has a better record. Anyways. Yep. All right, but I want to thank everybody for listening, for watching this show. Again, we hit our question that we had at the very beginning of the show. When is it okay to basically forget your fandom of a team and drop the team and trade up? But
somebody give me some advice on who I should follow other than the Jets, please.
Bengals.
Make your case.
Bengals. Broncos, man, dude. Bo Nix, come on, brother, come on. Broncos country. Let's ride. But make sure you hit the like, subscribe, listen to your podcast on wherever you want to find podcasts. We will be there. Send us your comments. Interact with us, man. We're here. We'll interact. We'll come back. We're not a show that's going to sit here and not touch base with our fan base. So get out there, send us likes. James, got anything last to finish off the show?
Yes. Do you think Mike Tomlin can coach the Yankees? Because I'd rather have him.
Dude, he is a leader of men. And that's all you need. You don't need to know baseball to coach, be a manager in baseball. You don't need to even know baseball. I can pull you out of anywhere as long as you can manage men. I'll find a bench coach. I'll find a third base coach, a first base coach, pitching coach, hitting coach. I'll find all those. You just need to manage men, and I don't care where it comes from. It is the whole Ted Lasso, dude. This is Ted Lasso's a great show. All that stuff aside. But what he did, and if you pay attention to the show, he led men. And then he left the coaching to the coaches. He led men. I don't care. It's a funny show, but it's a story about leading men. And you can do that. It doesn't matter where you come from.
I think that's good on the show.
All right, guys.